T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff. Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
Welcome back, Lugs. I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir, fellas. Breaking news. Derek Carr is now a Saint. Is Daniel Jones really worth $40 million a year? The Giants think so. And we await the decision of the Prince of Darkness, Aaron Rodgers, as to what the heck he's going to do. And wait, if that's not enough, NCAA Selection Sunday is upon us. This is Sports and Other Stuff. We welcome Lugs back from spring training. How was it, Lugs? Good? You get some sun? Catch some foul balls?
Yeah. I forgot to put the oxide on the nose, so I've got a little bit of a shining beaker. But, yeah, it was great.
I saw that movie, The Shining. It was quite good. All right, so Daniel Jones, let me throw that one at you first. $40 million a year from the Giants. Lugs, do you like that move?
No, I don't. I just don't.
I kind of figured, but I wanted to start with something good like that.
No, they need to get themselves an honest-to-God quarterback. I'm sorry. He's a cute kid and a lovely dancer, but no, he's not the future of the Giants. That's pretty much as straightforward as I can be.
T-Dog, you like that move? Yeah, you like that 40 mil?
I'll put it this way. I know that says the contract is $160 million over 4 years. Yep. They haven't given out the particulars. There's no guarantees. So again, that $160 million. Again, I don't know how much of it's real. The weird thing is, it does say the deal is reportedly worth $35 million in incentives. Again, I want to know concrete, guaranteed money what he's making. Like, this is, I don't know if it is $40 million a year is what I'm trying to get at.
This is 2023. You need to know.
But anyway, regardless of that, look, he played well, and obviously credit to Mike Kafka and Brian Daboll for, finally, it was year 4. Daniel Jones looked like he turned the corner, and obviously I think they'll get him better weapons for next year and the years down the road. But I got to agree with Lugs on this. I know they're not really in position to get one of these top quarterbacks at this year's draft, but again, this is going to be a reoccurring theme here until the future of actually next year's draft. You look at the top 2 quarterbacks of next year's draft, not this upcoming one. I'd want to get in position for, those guys, Caleb Williams or Drake May. Tying myself down with Daniel Jones, I don't know. Just doesn't feel like a great idea.
All right, Lugs, I'm going to go now. Derek Carr is now a Saint. Here's what I say. Super Bowl-bound Saints, yes, sir. They're going to win that division, and they are moving on. What do you think, man?
Well, first of all, I'm very happy for Derek Carr because he was treated poorly by the Raiders when he managed to be a stabilizing force during a year when they had a coach ousted under really terrible conditions. And he's also dealing with Josh McDaniels, who will be back in New England as quarterback's coach after next year anyway. He's not a head coach, and his ego gets in the way. So to get to Derek Carr, that does make New Orleans relevant. I don't know what happens with Kamara's lawsuit and all of that, but if Kamara is back and he has the weapons that are there, they will be a force. They will be a force. And, I would say he's not a top 5 quarterback, but he's a top 10 quarterback for sure. So it's an upgrade for New Orleans, and good for them and good for Derek Carr.
T-Dog, how do you like it? Do you think this makes the Saints viable from the get-go?
he's better than Daniel Jones, which I know is a low bar to praise. I guess what I'm trying to say is I like the signing better than the Daniel Jones signing because particularly currently you look at the NFC South, the other three teams don't even have a starting quarterback really. So that's a good start for the Saints.
True.
They have weapons. Chris Olave, again, no disrespect to Wilson for the Jets. Chris Olave was the best rookie wide receiver last year. And Juwan Johnson looked like he was really emerging at tight end. And like Lugg said, I don't know if he'll be able to play or not. I think Alvin Kamara does still have a little gas left in the tank. So he has three interesting kind of weapons. I'm not counting Mike Thomas to be even on the team. So that's why I'm not really bringing him up. And at least with Derek Carr's contract, we know it's for $150 million for 4 years, $60 million guaranteed. So, it's a win-win for both sides. I think comparing Over the Cap did a comparison. Essentially, by not getting the Raiders contract, Saints are saving $16 million, but Derek Carr is essentially getting more guaranteed over the next 2 years than what he would have had with the old Raiders contract. So it's a win-win for both sides. These are the only problems I have with it. He's been in the league for 9 years. He's only had 3 seasons above or at 500. He's only had 1 season of 30-plus touchdowns. And like Lugg said, if he's playing at a top 10 quarterback level, which he has in the past, he had 1 year where he was definitely an MVP candidate. But you have to have more than 1 30-plus touchdown year. And I know some of it's the surroundings have been just bad. I'm not going to completely put on him. And I will say under Gruden, he became a better quarterback. Say what you will about Gruden, and I'm not going to disagree with it, but his completion percentage went up, and he was around 67% passing each of those 4 years. And again, I will also agree with Luggs. Mike McDaniels, again, why I sold all the stock already. I'm not selling anymore. It's already cashed out.
Josh, you want to say Josh?
Josh, thank you, not Mike McDaniels. Thank you. Josh is he was not allowed to audible or adjust plays last year. That came out. And Derek Carr is a smart quarterback. So I know with the Saints, he's going to be able to adjust things that he doesn't think are going to work. And I think he'll be good for them. I think they are clearly in the running. And also, to be fair to them, you look at their roster. If you look at like the cycle of things, most of that roster is at close to the end. This is a last hurrah. So this is a team that makes sense to get a Derek Carr. Maybe you squeeze out a playoff run. Maybe they get lucky and get to the Super Bowl. It makes sense.
All right. Luggs, does Aaron Rodgers, we only have 60 seconds by law to talk about this. It's a statute in Wisconsin. Is he going to trade shades of green from Green Bay to Green Jets of New York? It sounds like it to me.
I doubt it.
Really?
I really do. I think Green Bay wants to unload him for sure because at this point, he's a laughing stock. He's a man that's truly gifted on a football field and off the football field. He's Curly of the Three Stooges. It's like whoop, 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 whatever's happening. That's Aaron Rodgers. I don't know that New York wants to take on the price, but the New York media would be just crazy to have Rodgers there because it's copy every day. And if the Jets were to do it, it puts them like, when's the last time, other than Zach Wilson being a flameout, that New York's made Sports Center? With Rodgers there, they'll make Sports Center every day. So that's the only upside. I just think that the negatives, I can't see it.
He'd love the press, too, wouldn't he? He'd love it. He'd just be basking in the glow. What do you think, T-Dog? Every yapping I hear on other shows, they talk about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers.
Well, that is the interesting domino to come out of Derek Carr signing with the Saints.
True.
Is it really sounded like it was coming down to, that Carr was the backup plan, and Carr, again, Aaron Rodgers takes forever to make up a decision. Derek Carr's got a wife and family. Like, he can't wait for Aaron Rodgers to make a plan like where he's just pulling lint out of his belly button and just gazing into the sun. Like he has other things he has to do, unlike Aaron Rodgers. So I agree with J Boy. I think he goes to the Jets. I just think Green Bay's done with him. I don't think Bob McGinn gets all that dirt a few weeks ago to essentially just bury Aaron Rodgers in every way possible from the Green Bay side of it, if they were essentially wiping and say they're done with them. And you kind of look at it, I don't think there's a lot of other avenues, and the Jets are just so desperate because they can say whatever they want. They clearly wipe their hands of Zach Wilson, which is, look, I'm not the biggest fan, but I still find that kind of crazy that you can't maybe find a way to make him try to work. I don't know, but I think Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. I don't know if it really works because, again, he's going against the Bills with Josh Allen. You look at, like the Dolphins with Mike McDaniels. Thank you, Lugs, for pointing that out to me. And Vic Fangio. I just – and even still, actually the Pats actually have an OC this year. So I don't know. I don't think going to the Jets, even with Aaron Rodgers – I don't know if that turns the tide for him. So,
and plus, say he wins one playoff game, now he's facing that AFC West, and he's got all those other teams to face, including Josh Allen twice a year, and then if he gets further into playoffs, I mean, it gets kind of cruddy. Lugs, are you his spiritual advisor? By the way, I meant to ask you that.
No, I'm his astrologist. He's born in the year of the monkey. And he's proving he can hang by his tail. So, anyway.
The year of the monkey.
Would you like to talk to my monkey?
Okay, where else do we want to go? That's kind of the quarterback news and breaks.
Did
I miss one? Did I miss one?
Lamar.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I would have to say.
I forgot about him. Yeah, that's right. That's right. What do you think of that?
Well, I'll say this. I want him to end up with Miami. Come on. But I would say that the Commanders, maybe, because the NFC has not played against him, so they don't have they have just film. They don't have the actual on-the-field experience. But I don't think he's going to be able to get that cash that he wants more money guaranteed than Deshaun Watson. And I don't think that's what's happening. I think Baltimore made a calculated move to let him be able to go out there and see what the real market value is for his skills, and he will come back to the Ravens. I think they will get back to – because the Ravens are built for him. The whole franchise is set up for him. So I think he'll be back with the Ravens unless somebody just goes crazy. The new ownership at the Commanders just goes crazy and says, yep, we will pay that. So it'll be interesting.
Commanders, T-Dog.
The big thing is with the Ravens putting the non-exclusive franchise tag on him, they lower the amount of money that he's guaranteed for this upcoming year. But the avenue they open up, kind of like what Lugs pointed out, since they have been interacting directly with Lamar, and I guess the Players Association did get involved in it too, but like in terms of his contract negotiations, they want him to go out and negotiate with other teams and see if he can get a better deal. And I guess their angle is that he'll see that other teams also won't be willing to give a 5-year deal worth $230 million guaranteed money. Like, that's their gamble. The flip side is there might be a team willing to do it. And if they're willing to do it, then either Baltimore can match or they get 2 first-round picks for Lamar. And I just think where they're drafting at this point, they're not going to be in position, even with those 2 first-round picks, they're not going to be in position to get one of these quarterbacks. And again, no offense to any of the quarterbacks in this draft, none of these quarterbacks you can feel 100% be anything that we know proven to be Lamar Jackson. So you're giving up a lot of, I think, talent. I mean, maybe 5 years down the road, it's proven wrong, but I don't know. It's a very risky gamble, I think, in the Baltimore doing this. And already 4 teams have come out and said Atlanta, which makes the most sense because they have the second most cap room after Chicago. They've said they're not going to pursue him. Panthers say they're not going to pursue him. Commanders say they're not going to pursue him. And the Dolphins aren't. Now, I think at least 2 of the 3 of those teams are lying.
Maybe.
So I think there is a good chance that he does get moved. And it'll be a huge hit to Baltimore. And like I said, I don't know how it got to this point. I think a lot of it just had to do – I'm not sure there was other factors, but a lot of it had to do with just that bad contract by Cleveland.
And
and plus, Lamar doesn't have an agent, so he's taking this personal. If he had an agent, it wouldn't get into a personal space.
It'd be all business, right? I agree.
Yeah, so I think Lamar, pay the 10, 15%. That way you keep yourself out of that area where you feel like you've been basically, somehow dissed. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
The one thing I will say that's fair to Baltimore, though, is they worked out a contract with a guy who didn't have an agent either in Roquan Smith. So
that's true.
It's not that they haven't done it in the past. And I'm sure maybe there were certain things they heard from Roquan they didn't want to hear. And obviously he's cheaper, but still quarterback's way more important than a middle linebacker. So.
Man, Roquan is a more mature individual, and he wasn't going to be able to demand that kind of a contract with the guarantees. And he knew that. He was smart enough. I don't think Lamar can get past the personal at this point.
I do think I will agree with you on this because he's been with him for 5 years. Where Roquan just joined him in season. Like, he's not going to take as much offense to it because he didn't come up through that organization for multiple years. Where I get what you're saying, where Lamar was drafted by them, got an MVP his second year, and then, again, you look at where he was drafted. He was drafted in the first round. He was the 32nd overall pick. So the disparity in what he got paid, even though he's a first rounder, and what even Trevor Lawrence is getting paid, who was the first overall pick, is actually quite substantial. So he's still trying to make up that money too. So,
well, if he leaves Baltimore, it's going to crush that fan base, including a friend of the show, Lena Duncan. Am I right?
Yeah,
it'll crush him.
It's going to be very, very hard on and also it'll be ramifications in this area too, because all those Baltimore games we get on the radio all of a sudden disappear. So
this is not the Bengals radio network.
I'm going to go wild here for a moment.
Go wild, man. Go wild.
San Francisco, they're built to win now. They've got it. You put Lamar in that backfield with Christian McCaffrey. Oh, man. I mean, can you imagine the weapons? Now, I don't know what their cap space is and how they could work that out, but it would be worth it. You talk about putting people in seats and eyes on the TV. It would happen.
And he might just go there for like a peanut butter sandwich or something, man. He doesn't need much. I mean, to win, you're right. I like that.
Lugs.
Whoa, it's wild, crazy.
Lugs, it's funny. Actually,
yes,
literally 30 minutes ago, I had this conversation with my dad. It's like, I don't know if it's possible, but I would love to see him on the 49ers. You and me, simpatico on this one.
See?
All right.
I would love it. I would love it because, like you said, just from the fireworks, you have all this talent at skill positions everywhere, and then you add Lamar. It's like, how do you stop any of this? I don't know.
And then you could have a Super Bowl with Lamar and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, come on.
Love that. Okay, let's talk about this draft of quarterbacks. T-Dog, I got to give you props, man. You predicted Bryce Young would put on weight and tip the scales over 200 at the Combine. He did. He is. And he'll drop down to 185 in about, by tomorrow afternoon when he goes to McDonald's or something, has a shake. But you were right. I don't like much. What do you guys like about this quarterback class? Who's it?
Well, it's a project for any of them, I would say. Doug, what do you think?
I would say, I think I've already been on record. The one I like the best is CJ Stroud. And, he's a good athlete. I mean, that's not his big calling card. And again, I know it was in the pajama, Olympics or underwear Olympics, whatever you want to call the combine. He went out there and was willing to throw, which again, it's his own prerogative if Bryce Young didn't want to throw. I'm not saying it's going to really adjust his stock, but I just think you go watch CJ Stroud throw to guys for the most part he hasn't played with, how accurate he was on pretty much all of his throws. And like the timing, the rhythm, like how you could tell, like that's why, like I said, like I think I don't know if he has a ceiling. Because, again, I'll be fair to J-Boy. I agree with him. Obviously, the guy that blew everyone away was Anthony Richardson because, obviously, from an athletic standpoint, he's so phenomenal. And they show, like, the 40 times and how much faster he was at the 40 than Cam Newton. The trepidation that J-Boy pointed out, which I agree with on most levels, is this. Cam Newton won a championship at Auburn. Besides Nick Fairley, almost none of those guys really did anything in the NFL at all. So, like, he carried a team to a championship where Anthony Richardson last year lost to a mediocre UK team and lost to a mediocre to bad Vanderbilt team. Like,
he only had one game right. Utah last year, not this past season, but the previous season, where he actually really shined.
No, I'm talking about the games he was bad in. I'm saying he was bad in these games against UK and Vanderbilt.
Right. But I'm just saying that he's only ever had one game where.
Yeah, in Utah. Yeah. It was the very first game of the season that Florida played, and they, But this is what I'm saying is like, I get the interest in Anthony Richardson, and I think if he goes the right place and is allowed to develop, he can be a phenomenal quarterback. I'm just saying, like, to say he's raw is an understatement to when you usually say raw. And I'm not even saying elements of his game maybe aren't polished. I'm just stating that he had 13 starts where pretty much all these other guys have at least 20 starts. And a lot of I don't know. And Levis, again, I think he needs to go to the right spot. I think Young will be good anywhere he goes. I just fear, again, like how big he is, because you look at guys of his similar stature like Baker and Kyler Murray.
5'10", 185.
I just don't see him staying healthy. And even Drew Brees at the very end, Drew Brees was getting, nicked up every few years. Down. And look, props to Mickey Loomis with the Saints and Sean Payton. They always built a wall. Like, they always had a great center guard situation where he never got pressure up the middle of Drew Brees for the most part. So, like, he was always usually very well protected. There's not a lot of situations where Bryce Young's going to be dropped into and he's going to have that luxury.
But here's what we know. Jim Irsay is in love with Bryce Young, so he'll go to the Colts, right? Owner Jim Irsay has said that. That means Houston's going to get Stroud. At the 2 pick, Stroud goes to Houston. He'll get killed. He'll have a short career because he'll be running, as Lug says, for his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. But if you want to talk about number one pick or whatever, no matter what happens, the Bears are sitting pretty to get Will Anderson to shore up that defense. So, and then the Texans, they got to get themselves a quarterback somewhere or another.
I think it's Stroud.
I think for the Texans, Jimmy Garoppolo is in that mix somewhere. It really is. Even if you get Stroud, you need a veteran quarterback to come in and get him through, teach him, work with him.
Jimmy Garoppolo, I feel, is going to go to the Raiders. But you are right. I think the other place he should be linked, it's the Raiders or the Texans. That feels like that's where he's going to land.
Actually, what's going to happen is Mac Jones is going to go to the Raiders.
After all that.
And Lamar's going to go to the Patriots. So
step back for a minute. You guys got the Niners with Lamar and or not Jimmy G. What do we think's going to happen with the two guys left? Who's going to get that gig? And is our Super Bowl
neither
injured?
one of them. Trey Lance is going to be traded. I mean, come on, Purdy. He can't even be back until Thanksgiving, so he's not going to play next year, really. So they got to get some outside help. They do.
T-Dog, you're over there stewing, man. What do you think is going to happen in Niner land? Niner.
I think, I mean, if you look at, I believe the guy who's currently the GM with the Titans, he came from the 49ers. And if you kind of look at what the Titans are doing, they might not say it out loud. They're rebuilding or reallocating retooling what this team is. And it's funny, they said that they're not willing to trade Ryan Tannehill, which around this time means for the right price, we're willing to trade Ryan Tannehill.
Everybody's there, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. They've gotten rid of Taylor Lewan. They say they're not willing to negotiate or get rid of Derrick Henry. I think they are. They just cut Bud Dupree. They've cut a few other guys. They are clearly just kind of bottoming out because they look at what the Jaguars are. It's like, we're not going to be able to compete with the Jaguars as we are currently situated. So we're just going to have to completely retool or restructure what we are. So this is their kind of down year to kind of like build the team back up. So I think they might take Trey Lance because Trey Lance has to just get experience actually playing football. So he might not be great.
Wow.
Clearly, I'll just put it this way. I hate to say this for Malik Willis. You look at how Mike Vrabel clearly felt about Malik Willis, where they got Joshua Dobson from another team to play, their essentially quintessential playoff game of Week 18. They clearly do not trust Malik Willis. And I know you could say, well, we give him a year. I think that was clearly a pick that Vrabel was not happy with. So I think they're done with Malik Willis. Maybe I'm reading things the wrong way. But I think because the current GM came from the Niners, maybe they're willing to take Trey Lance from them. And that opens up an opportunity for them to bring in like a Lamar or whoever at quarterback for 49ers.
Or Tom Brady, baby, come back for 1 year.
Will you go? Are you kidding? Are you kidding on that? What are you, stoned? On the other coast away from his kids, and that's why he left Tampa Bay and Giselle and anybody else with 2 syllables. Hey, okay, let's do a little sports of yesteryear, Lugs. You ready for that? We'll come back, get us some more football, and talk about the NCAA tournament. Here we go. You ready? Take it away. Sports of yesteryear. Go.
All right. 1857, baseball decides 9 innings constitutes an official game, not 9 runs. 1940, Ray Steele beats NFL Hall of Famer Bronco Nagurski to become a wrestling champ. I never knew Bronco was a wrestler, but there you are. Now, for our international audience, in 1953, South African cricket opening batsman Jackie McGlew that is, scores an unbeaten 255 in a first test against New Zealand in Wellington. And since it's March Madness, coming up on us right now, 1982 was the first time the NCAA tournament selection was televised live. And finally, 2016, everybody get out your orange hankies. Peyton Manning announces his retirement from the Denver Broncos and the NFL. And that, my friends, is the crazy edition of Sports of Yesteryear for this time around.
Well, thank you, Lugs. What year was that when Peyton hung it up?
2016.
Gosh, just that short while ago. Okay, and I got an idea. Bronco Nagurski, right? Ford Bronco? Yes. Bronco Nagurski? Ford Bronco? Think he drives one? Think he drove one? He's not with us, is he?
No, he's not with us. No,
he didn't drive. He's not driving.
He might be driving in the 90s, I think. He lived to be a good long age. I think he lived close to being 90 years old. He was just out there chopping down trees in the woods of Minnesota with Bud Grant. So they both stayed healthy.
Well, the Budster's still with us, isn't he?
Yeah, he blows that big horn every once in a while.
Yeah, whatever that's called. I can't pronounce it. T-Dog, let's talk a little bit more about football. You want to talk about the Falcons specifically, I believe. Did you not?
Yes. Since we're only, think about this, guys. We're only 8 weeks away
from the draft.
So I think in honor, I was going to count down to number one. So the number 8 pick is the Atlanta Falcons. So I got a few questions for you all. With the 8th pick, should they draft a quarterback?
Lugg, say you.
Yes.
I say no.
And I think personally, they should go for Stroud.
Yeah.
I think he would fit. His personality would fit with those guys.
Actually, that's a really good point.
And I say no. I thought I heard Arthur Blank, owner of said Falcons, say he really likes Desmond Ridder. We're going to build around him. Did I miss that? I'm making it up either way. I think they're sticking with Ridder.
Probably he said that, but this is lying season, so
you're right.
I don't know. I think they should, and I'll kind of agree with both of you. Obviously, I guess I side more with Luggs. Desmond Ridder, if you kind of go back and look, he played fine at the end of the season. He has some mobility. I think he was a fairly good passer, but I think if you look at Arthur Smith's background with Tannehill, and he brought in Mariota essentially to be his starter last year. He wants a mobile quarterback who has the ability to rush, like a Will Levis or an Anthony Richardson. And even like Lugg said, I think Stroud is a much better version of Ridder, who has some reservation to run. But if they can unlock him running like he did in the semifinals with his ability to pass, I think Stroud makes a lot of sense. So, but anyway, next question. What do you think they really need to address besides, I guess Lugg says quarterback, and J-Boy, you say no. What do you think they need to address this offseason?
Luggs?
Well, pick anywhere. Pick anywhere. I would say.
Apparently quarterback is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I would say offensive line, if you're not going to go for a quarterback, go for a good offensive left tackle.
Always, right?
Yeah. And at least you give Ridder a chance.
Mm-hmm. I think, to be fair, I agree with you. I said like the Bears, pretty much everything. I mean, their two best players, offensive tackle Jake Matthews and Grady Jarrett, their defensive tackle, they're either 30 or entering it. Their only young long-term players are probably wide receiver Drake London, tight end Kyle Pitts, guard Chris Lindstrom, and cornerback AJ Terrell. I mean, that's only 4 guys that are 30 or below. I think defensive line, kind of going along the opposite side of what you're saying, just they've had the 7-10 ceiling these last 2 years, which is impressive if you really look at the roster. But where they're drafting that 8th pick, Texas Tech, Tyree Wilson, Iowa's Lucas Van Ness, Clemson, Miles Murphy, defensive tackle. They should all be targeted in the draft around that time. And then even free agency, they can look at Zach Allen or Dalvin Tomlinson to just upgrade that defensive line. They need to add some beef and some juice. So, but third question, in this upcoming draft, is there any player in particular, when you think of how Atlanta Falcons under Arthur Smith have been constructed, you feel like you want to see them play there?
I haven't seen them enough to say myself. I'll have to pass on that and throw this one to my good friend in Arizona, Luggs. You have my time, sir.
You know what? Off the top of my head, no. I would have to say that they just need so much. It's crazy to me that they got to hang it all on the quarterback. Either they're in on Ridder and they build around him, or they get themselves a quarterback. And I can see Will Levis could work there as well, just because he is that prototypical big guy with a cannon for an arm.
Yeah. I just think they definitely have a thing for size, and they like to run the ball. So the guy I would like possibly in the second round is Georgia tight end Darnell Washington. I mean, you want to talk about a big man at tight end. He's 6'7", 264 pounds. He ran a 4.6 at the combine. So
nice.
like he's not just a big lug. Like he's a hell of a blocker, which they love. So but also he showed he can catch the ball. So like he's also a receiving threat. It's a twofold thing. They gain an extra blocker, and hopefully that allows Kyle Pitts to not have to be inline blocking. They can actually just use him as a receiver like how he should have been and be featured more. So that's why I say Darnell Washington. So last question, should they trade back from the 8th pick?
Ooh. Lugs, what do you think? Let it go or keep it?
No, I think they've got to keep it. They've got to keep their picks. I mean, because they've got, 3 or 4 good picks in this draft, the way this thing should shake out. So I think they got to keep their picks.
Yeah. I agree with that. And here's the thing I was just noticing. They were just in the Super Bowl 51, weren't they? We just finished up Super Bowl 57. This game goes by fast. That 6 years ago, they're a horrible team, essentially now. And they were in the Super Bowl, and we remember the classic crash, and they lost to Brady in that massive change of events there. But, yeah, I don't know.
It just tells you that guys get dinged up real quickly. And also, when you win, guys want more money.
Yeah.
And so you end up with
the cycle
guys
goes on.
Want more money than you can afford to pay. And, that I don't think you'll see that era of people staying the way they have, say, in the Tom Brady era. I think from now on, maybe quarterbacks, but the rest of the guys, they're interchangeable. I mean, Titans are getting rid of Derrick Henry, and maybe he is at that time, 5 years in for running back is a long time now.
I mean, is that like getting rid of Emmitt Smith or Walter Payton or name other guys who – you're right. That's kind of a crazy notion, isn't it?
Well, yeah. No, look, I agree with you. They're in the unfortunate spot at that 8th pick where you look at, either they draft a quarterback or all those top quarterbacks are gone.
Right.
And I don't know how much value they're going to get in trade back. And also in terms of like blue chip talent, it feels like probably blue chip talent probably is going to dry out that you feel confident in, entering the draft and exiting the draft is probably going to dry up after the 8th pick. So you can't even trade that far back. And they just need some difference makers. They're like the Bears. They're not going to turn around in one offseason this year. They just did need to get some difference makers this year and then build a good nucleus for 2 to 3 years down the road. So, no, I agree with you all. And also, like Derrick Henry, the craziest thing about Derrick Henry is I know he's about to turn 30, but you look at how dominant he's one of the best backs over the last 5 years. Right. He scored 68 touchdowns in the last 5 years. He joined the 2K club in terms of rushing for a single season, which there's not that many players that have hit that.
So let
mark.
Me throw the question at you. Is he a Hall of Famer already?
Yes.
See, you're trading away a Hall of Famer 5 years into his career or 6, whatever it is. It's not much.
Well, the bizarre thing is he's actually been around for, I believe, 8 or is it 7? And they didn't really start using him till like year 3. So
I think he's a Hall of Famer.
I'll put it this. I'll always give you all this. He's borderline. I'd have to think about it more, but to be fair to your all's point, was he the best running back or close to being the best running back for a 5-year period? So essentially half a decade. I would say yes. Mm-hmm. So you're all probably right. I'd like to think about it more.
Okay, I'm going to throw out a question. You said they'll get a quarterback, maybe Atlanta at 8. Maybe not, because they'll all be taken. A lot of rips on Carson Wentz, and the latest that I've heard is that it's because he went to a small school, North Dakota State. Guys from those schools maybe don't make it in the big show. So when you get down to the quarterback, we got Jake Haener from Fresno. We got Jaron Hall from BYU. Guys like that aren't going to make it, are they? Are they the next Carson Wentz? You're not going to pick those guys, are you, from small even 1AA schools or smaller conferences?
Third round, maybe.
Backups?
Third round.
I mean, again, you look at.
I know Josh Allen's from Wyoming, right?
Yeah, he came from Wyoming.
Okay, there's an exception.
And again, these guys are nowhere close to Josh Allen, but and J-Boy, you know this better than me. Northern Illinois, right, has two guys who have had pretty solid careers as quarterbacks in Tony Romo.
That's
and
Eastern
Jimmy
Illinois,
Garoppolo.
my brother.
Eastern. That's why.
Come on,
that's why.
come on, brother. Come on.
That's why I have you.
Don't go mixing
Eastern
those
Illinois.
Huskies with those Panthers. Don't go doing that.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah,
don't
my
make
bad.
me come over there.
Yeah, Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
But that's what I don't know.
And Sean Payton was a quarterback there too, by the way. So throw that one on there.
Yes, and let's put it this way. Carson Wentz, sometimes I'm not going to say he wasn't going to bust out, but how much his confidence or how much his bitterness maybe eroded his path to having a good career. Because if you look at that Eagles season where they won the Super Bowl, he was having an MVP type season. He got injured against the Rams. And then, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. How much that probably ate away at him? Because think about it. Nick Foles has a statue outside for a season where Carson Wentz was primarily the guy playing at a MVP level. And they're going to memorialize this guy, right? Who has been shown over his career, look, has some great moments, but he's mainly just a backup.
Great moments, magic in a bottle for a little while.
But he's just a backup. People try to fool themselves into thinking he was a great starter afterwards. Jaguars paid him a lot of money after that Super Bowl, and then Bears brought him in thinking he's going to resuscitate Nagy's career. Obviously, that didn't happen because he's a backup. That's what he is.
And Luggs would say he's a backup with a bad beard, wouldn't you, Luggs?
Yeah, he ain't getting any shaving commercials.
And I guess what I'm saying is this. I know Luggs isn't a big fan of Carson Wentz. I just hope for Carson Wentz that maybe he can have a scenario like Geno where maybe he accepts being a backup for a few years and maybe he can learn to be more patient, learn to play within the system and not just hero ball it all the time. And maybe he resuscitates his career because I still think he has a lot of talent. It's just a lot of it is his mental makeup has to mature or slow down or what, I don't know. But I think he has the talent to still be a good quarterback. It's just he's going to have to change. He's going to have to change.
And how about this? Get and stay healthy. How about throwing that on the fire too? I mean, that's what he needs to do.
That's even more important. You're right. That's actually even more important, J-Boy. So.
All right, finally tonight, we are upon March Madness Selection Sunday. Number one, are you excited about it? Luggs, starting with you, and we'll talk about it more as the picks come out in the bracketology. Who do you like? What do you think? Luggs, you fired up about March Madness?
I am. It's always a good excuse to, on the sly, check out the games while you're at work or wherever, Just have that cover-up screen ready.
I love
when
that
the boss
cover
walks.
screen. The boss screen. Yeah. Thank you, Interweb.
Yeah, it's been a strange year, but I think Alabama has a shot. I think maybe Texas. This is the one year where one of those, like a Gonzaga, maybe actually will pull this off one time because the teams are just so strange and weak. And so anyway, it's always a good watch. It certainly is.
T-Dog, how do you feel about it this year?
I think I enjoy it every year. I don't follow enough from the beginning of the season just because it overlaps so much with football. Once the Super Bowl is over, I get into it because there's nothing else really for me to follow sports wise. Really, I mean, I'm gonna get into the XFL. Just give me another 2 weeks, and I'll get into that. But I just enjoy once it gets to even like the conference tournaments, just because so much is riding on the line in terms of either seeding or even just getting into the tournament. People having runs where they have to either win the tournament or they're going to get eliminated. And also just the things that the scenarios where a team that shouldn't have gotten into the tournament by winning an automatic bid, them taking a team out that probably should have made the tournament, but obviously there's only so many slots. In terms of who I think will win, again, I haven't watched enough. I'm okay with. I would again. I'm kind of like with Lugs. I want Gonzaga to get over that hump.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I don't know if anyone else did. I think I went with Gonzaga last year. Hopefully, I'm not jinxing them, but I just want Gonzaga to get over the hump. So,
watch out. Go ahead.
My favorite play-in will be Kennesaw State.
I saw that.
Do you know they have the lowest graduation record of any college in America?
Wow.
Just so you
I can't even do that math. What is that? That's like a lot of qualitative lowest.
But anyway, they're in that tournament and they will get some money, and they could certainly use it because I don't think they have much on campus housing or anything. And I do believe they're in Cobb County, Georgia, which is right outside Atlanta, as I recall. So
I'm saying go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, home of the big boss man, professional wrestler. Yep,
I'm going to say watch out for your Southeast Missouri State Redhawks. First time in the big dance in Division I. They actually have been a pretty good team in D2 for a long time before that, but they quietly and surprisingly won the Ohio Valley Conference with like an 18-win record. So watch out for those guys. And my pick, sleeper pick, not a sleeper pick, I'm going with Bill Walton's UCLA Bruins. The Wizard of Westwood will come through once again. That's my pick. We'll see. Yeah. But, they haven't even made the brackets
Southeast
yet.
Missouri, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's go. Directional, baby.
They were going to make it no matter what, because I've forgotten which team it is that they were playing. Couldn't be in the NCAA because they haven't been playing at Division I for the 3-year period. It's like Bellarmine had a shot, but no.
Not really. Then the rules
I don't
came
understand that rule.
No,
if you win, you win, so quit with that nonsense.
If you win, you're in. All right, anything else, or should we close this up and give everybody a break? We're done. Go.
Just real quick. I hope well wishes to Leslie Frazier, defensive coordinator for Buffalo Bills. He's taking a 1-year sabbatical. I don't know the particulars. I don't know if that'll ever be released, but it sounds like he will return after this upcoming season, but he just needs 1 year off. So hopefully all is well with he and his family. And I just want to say thanks for all the great moments he's had with the Bears, and obviously as a coordinator with the Bills. So.
Yeah, Super Bowl 20 champ, Leslie Frazier with the 85 Bears, and former head coach of those Minnesota Vikings. Right on. Good luck to him. We wish him well. This has been Sports and Other Stuff. You've wasted a lot of time with us today. Brought to you in part by Burt Weinman Motors, your TV car man. We no say no. Buy here, pay here. In fact, you buy a car and you get a check. The guy who signs that check, his name is
Fish.
Yeah.
And since this is the week in 1959 that the Barbie doll was introduced to the world, our man of fashion is hosting an event highlighting Ken's favorite plastic lady. There will be a Barbie look-alike contest for the youngsters, and for the old-timers, a chance to show off your oldest Barbie. Doesn't matter about how beat up it is, bring it on down. Come on down this Saturday at 1 p.m. Tea, cake, and hula hoops will be provided for all.
Well, thank you, Lugs. You've been listening to Sports and Other Stuff. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Until next time, so long for now.